Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutchall. Thank you for listening to Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Kristin Herr. I think I pronounced it correctly. She is a life coach, and we met a couple weeks ago, not physically, but virtually. And I really like what she has to share, how she's trying to help people. Kristin, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, yes. Thank you, Bridget, so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So, yes, I am a certified life coach, and I really, love helping women and helping people deal with a lot of the head trash that keeps them stuck and from growing and, you know, yeah, stuck and grow
I like how
from
you
growing.
said that, head trash. We have so much, just so much information. I think that's part of the reason we have head trash is there's so much info out there. What do you believe, right? And how do you get moving? How do you get unstuck? Is that the right word?
Yeah, it's actually that is the right word. I think a lot of information, I think a lot of it stems from the limiting beliefs that people have that they don't even know that they're there, that really were developed mostly in early childhood. And it doesn't mean that something terrible happened to you to have a limiting belief. It could be someone said something to you, and as a child, you perceived it completely different.
Right.
And because they're and our developmental stage, between the ages of birth and to 7 is where we really are programmed. That is where we're programmed. This is where we start modeling our
Right.
parents. It's kind of scary. It's like, okay, great, 7 years old, and now I'm programmed to really how I'm going to behave the rest of my life in a lot of ways, or perceive things. And I'll give you guys an example. This is my own personal experience, and why I dove so deep into this myself is my grandmother I remember is the time I was aged, so I was 5 years old until probably I was 13, 14 years old, would criticize me for being like a little chubby kid. And as a child, I never felt I measured up. That meant I have this
Right.
limiting belief. I wasn't worthy. I wasn't good enough. And comparing myself to my sisters. And I mean, it could be as something as your parent tells you, you know, don't speak unless you're spoken to. So you have this belief, well, I don't have any of value to say. It can, it doesn't have to, this is how it stems. Whether, I don't think she really was trying to do anything malicious. I think she was trying to help me. But as a
Right.
child, I see as I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy.
That's true. We don't realize what we say to others is going to be um, not comprehended on the other end, right? But it could be the meaning that you said she meant to probably help you, but it didn't come out correctly. And you just don't know uh, what's going to happen with your growing up. I never really thought about that. You're programmed up until the age of 7. I never really thought about that. And you were making, while you were saying that, it made me think about why am I the way I am, right? And I think, I don't know, I was back in the day a little rambunctious, probably because we didn't have, we ran around a lot, and my mom got divorced from my dad. I think I was 4 or 5. Maybe that's why I was rambunctious. I was, with my brother. Um, so I don't recall my family saying that, but I do recall friends saying things to me that were negative just because they grew up in the South with a French mother who had an accent. And I stood out in that regard. So I shouldn't have taken it. I took it, I felt bad about it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And then that's how it stems. It's not, most people don't walk around saying that, hey, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Like that doesn't,
Right?
logically, that that's not true, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
But in your belief system and the way you show up, all the signs are there that that is what your core belief is that
Right.
you're not worthy. That's why people procrastinate. That's why
Yes.
they doubt themselves all the time, and that's why they self-sabotage themselves all the time. I mean, that's a huge piece of self-sabotaging and procrastination is a huge indicator that you have limiting beliefs. Most people, I'm going to say, have some to some degree, and most of them are there's normally only like 2 or 3 core limiting beliefs that are the core, and that is like the unworthiness, you're not worthy, I'm not good enough. Those are the ones that are the basis that people's actions are based on this core belief that they don't even know is there.
Right. I've felt the imposter syndrome before. That's
That's the same thing, the imposter syndrome, because that is a belief. Okay, the imposter syndrome. Okay, well, who am I to show up? Who am I
right.
to do this? I'm not so and so. I don't have the stories we tell ourselves. I'm not a huge influencer, maybe on social media, or I'm not. I don't have
Right.
that PhD in neuroscience. Like I don't have a I'm not a neuropsychologist with a PhD, but I've done a lot of studying on my own, and I've been my own work in progress and my guinea pig, so to speak.
Right. I like that. We are, I think we all can't even talk. We all are a work in progress based on our current situations. And that's, I think, with this current, this pandemic that's happening, I'm sure that's affected and created more stress. Have clients reached out to you to get help on that?
Yes. Yes, because a lot of people right now are really struggling. They're stressed out. They're a lot of them. The worlds have been, turned upside down. I mean, I have a client friend, not to give too much detail, but her
Right.
business kind of went away
Wow.
because of COVID and what she did, and it was very stressful. And we go down this negative rabbit hole and we think worst case scenario, and it's really hard to break free of it unless you have a little help. And that's what I see is like, even when I was talking to her, I was like, okay, well, let's talk worst case scenario first, so hopefully that'll
Right.
make you feel a little better. And and let's talk about these stories that you're telling yourself, because you're making up a lot of things that aren't 100% true. Does that mean that your circumstances are not scary, aren't happening? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all, but there is a way to start shifting things so that you can better cope, so that you can come up with some solutions. Because although things have been turned upside down in our world, I believe that we're going to be shifting into something entirely new. We're
Right.
going to be evolving, and there are going to be industries and things that are going to be obsolete, but there's also going to be a lot of opportunities and industries created too. And if you can focus on that instead of what you're losing and look at what you're gaining, and I know
Right.
that that can be very challenging to do, especially when you're in the midst of it. But I see it. I already see it with different opportunities coming available. People learning a different way to work, people learning a different way to go to school, people learning about new industries of how to better serve what's happening in our world. And if you can focus on that and start coming up, thinking of solutions, it could be a really great time for you, for someone, like it's not an end all be all like a lot of people think it is. It's not at all.
It's right. It's your mindset. And it's one of the reasons I did put my podcast on pause at the beginning of COVID, because I'm like, I'm like, what do I do? But then at the same time, like, you know what? I'm connecting, getting people to listen to other ideas and we're coming up with solutions. And of course, I focus on your health. Your health is really
Right.
related to the levels of stress that your stress is normal. It's just the chronic stress, right? That is not good. And I think, like you, I try to look at that as well. I think you just got to look at the opportunities that are out there. And you're right, it's going to be changing for everybody. And I'm in the communications industry, so that's kind of good.
Right.
Right. But in the beginning, we had to get the legislator. People don't know, we had to get the legislators involved in certain states, not to shut
Oh wow.
like the printing plants down. Like, you need the printing plants to help with supply chain, and but people don't think about how we're all interwove together. Everything is connected in some shape or form. And I'm a believer in learning all the time. I think it's good for you it's good for your brain, number one.
Absolutely.
It's good for your confidence to learn something new. It's something that, I don't know, I just think it's something you should always do. And we had mentioned earlier about the COVID thing. My children are adults, and you said, I think this is tougher. I personally think it's tougher on, well, two groups, the elderly people and then the working parents who have children at home. That to me is very stressful. Do you have any advice on I know you can go to either way. You probably don't deal with the elderly patients, but I think this is affecting those two main groups mostly.
Well, I think one thing parents need to do is give themselves some grace. And I mean, I have a really close friend. She's a single mom. Works independently, and the whole school thing. She has a daughter starting kindergarten, and just seeing it's been a very stressful time for her. It's been a very stressful time for a lot of working parents
Right.
who, they need to go to work, and they have this dilemma with their children having to do this distance learning and all this stuff. So, I mean, my biggest tip would be, give yourself some grace. Really kind of get yourself a schedule. Know things are not going to be perfect, and also know that, I mean, if you just show up and do the best that you can, and I know that sounds kind of cliche, but your kids are going to see that and try to have, it's hard to say, like, don't be stressed about it, because I know there's going to be stress about stress. Like, that's just not
Right.
realistic. Like, I know that that is not realistic. I've been home with my 3-year-old for 24/7 since COVID hit, and he's a preschooler. So I completely get that. And to be honest with you, do you know what the number one thing I think that people can do right now to help them have some calm about them, to have some be grounded? Start a gratitude practice and do 10 minutes of
Yes.
meditation daily. Let me tell you, on the days I do not get my meditation in or write my gratitude, I know, I feel it. I
Right.
don't have as much patience. I'm more frustrated. And I know that that sounds, some people are like, "Oh, really, it's that simple?" In a lot of ways, it really is that simple. And if you could sit down every day when you wake up and you give 10 minutes, wake up 20 minutes before you normally do 10 minutes of quiet meditation and write down 10 things you're grateful for every day. I don't care if it's a warm cup of coffee or if you have a hot water. I write that down sometimes because I'm
Right.
grateful. We have clean water, not everyone has that luxury. The lights are on. There's your family, your people in your life. And if you can focus on the good in your life every day, and even look for the good in your life every day, and have that quiet time just to quiet your mind a little bit, it will bring some calmness and some peace to you. And it'll help you deal with all the stressors. I mean, not going to science. The science is proven over and over
Right.
gratitude and meditation, how it helps. I mean, even when they do the brain scans, what it does to your brain, all these things to help you, and people dismiss it way too much. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and let me tell you, it is something that I do not ever want to give up.
It sounds, I mean, that's some really good advice. And I'm very similar. My thing is I do yoga, so it's just kind of similar, right?
Commitment.
Meditation in a way. And I like to do deep breathing, right? And it just calms you down in the moment. It helps you not react, right?
Right.
Set the right,
I mean, yeah, that's it. Because
you want to respond properly in a certain situation, and it is I believe in keeping things simple. It sounds like that's what you're doing. Keeping it simple helps. People want a quick fix, and that's not it. That's not going to work long term, and you have to take little steps. And like you said, the gratitude journal and just meditation, it just 20 minutes total, right?
I can guarantee anybody who's listening to this, if you will commit for even just 30 days to do this, 20 minutes a day, it
Right.
doesn't even take that long. 5 minutes to write down 10 things you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be a
Exactly.
long sentence. And quiet your mind for 10 minutes. Oh yeah, just focus on your breath. Just focus in and out. And as your mind wanders, which it'll do, it's fine. Just bring it
Let
back
it
and just focus on your
go.
breath. If you do that for 30 days, I can, I will guarantee you're going to have more peace. You're going to have more patience, and you need more patience right now
Yes.
because of everything that's going on. Even my little one this morning, I messed up. I didn't get up early enough, and there's no one to blame but myself. So I start, instead of getting up before him and having my practice like I do, I ended up waking up with him when he was screaming my name, and here I was in this reactive state, and I
Mm.
was getting frustrated. And I noticed that I'm like, I know that now. It's like, okay, it is so important for me to have my half an hour in the morning before he wakes up, because everything's just
It's
better.
your me time, right? A lot of, is that the right word? A lot of
It is.
people don't, especially women, they're taking care of everybody. They don't take care of themselves enough. And I'm very guilty of that in the past when my kids were younger, right?
And that's why women are so burnt out. They're
Yeah.
not fulfilled. They're just doing what they know that they have to do to keep the kids alive, the husband fed, their partners, whatever,
Right.
keep the job, the laundry, the endless to-do list. And at the end of the day, they're spent, and then they wake up and they do it again. It's no wonder women aren't high, don't have a ton of reason why I have so much anxiety,
Mhm.
depression, and all these things, because you can't, the cliche, you can't give from an empty cup, and it's true.
Right.
And I have to we did talk about this, Bridget. The roles have shifted right now.
Yes.
And what's happening is, it's in my household too. I feel we're back to the 1950s, and mama's home with the kids 24/7, cooking 2 to 3 meals a day, doing all the housework, taking care of everything to keep the home run, while she's still trying to work from home, build a business, maybe even has a job from home. And dad is up in his office in his room and doing his work, 10 hours a day, or, I know sometimes 8 to 12 hours a day. And mama has no time for herself whatsoever. None.
Right.
And
Right.
it's kind of everything has shifted to this. We've like regressed.
Right. Who knows what the
This
fear, and it's, we all
because
have to speak up and just be cognizant that it is happening, not suppress it too. I think that's important. Is that the, I think
it
it's,
is important. We need to acknowledge it. And I
yeah.
think for women too, sometimes it's hard to get up that extra half an hour early, and because you just want that sleep, and maybe you stay up too late, and sleep is so important, but if you can get in the habit of just waking up a half an hour early, have that quiet time, write in your gratitude journal, maybe have your cup of coffee or tea, whatever your ritual is, and do 10 minutes of quiet. It's just going to help you're not going to start in this reactive state, grabbing your
Mhm.
phone first thing in the morning, like, which
Right.
you really shouldn't do. You're starting out in this total reactive state. I look at the clock, but I put it up, and I don't check my email or anything for like an hour. Don't even look at it. Messages, don't respond to anything.
Right. And
You
news.
can, I don't watch the news,
Right. I don't watch it either. It's too stressful.
and I don't watch it. And my husband's like, "You need to know what's going on in the world." I'm like, "I know plenty of what's going on in the world. I don't, because I think the news is skewed. I don't need to put all that negativity in my
Mhm.
mind." I have several mentors myself, and one thing with one of my mentors, Anel Zagata, who is amazing, and I'm in her yearly program right now, is
Okay.
focus on gratitude, growth, and goals. And this is something that you were talking about, Bridget, learning something every day. You do your gratitude. What are some goals that you want to accomplish that day? I don't care if you just want to, maybe you're like me and you struggle to get exercise in. This has been a whole struggle. Start small. Okay, I'm going to do 15 minutes of exercise. So maybe that's a walk. Maybe that's, doing some weights in your living room, or a 15-minute yoga video. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous, but just to move your body.
Mhm.
Right now, 3 little goals. Like for me, I have 3 goals that I want to do daily. I have my daily method of operation for my business. So it's like a power hour that I like to do. And my 15 minutes of exercise, and then my meditation. That's a goal for mine today. And then learn something new every day. So if you're in business, whatever you're in, whether you're have a home-based business, a network marketing, or you're affiliate marketer, or you're just trying to build something from scratch, an e-commerce, whatever it is, learn something that's going to help you move forward in
Right.
sales and all this stuff, and do 30 minutes to an hour of learning something, and write down what you learned. If you do that, you're going to grow so much faster
Right.
in
And it's,
your mind, in
mhm.
your progress with moving towards your goals and your health and all of that. And That's been a bit of a game changer for me as well, and just really helping me, especially with COVID, to have that a little bit of that structure. Doesn't always look perfect because I have my little one, but
Right.
I get through, you know.
But then you can reflect on that on your gratitude moments, right?
Right.
That's one thing to make you realize that what you are doing something positive to move forward, and it's going to help. It's going to have little ripple effects. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's going to help everybody,
It
and
is going to
especially
help everybody.
down the road. It didn't you be you're being the role model for your friends and your family. I think that is so important. And one thing I wanted to ask, what made you decide to get into life coaching? Is there some kind of, I'm just curious, what made you decide to do that?
Okay, well,
You want to help people, you know what I'm saying? I did, what was a trigger? Is there something, you know what I'm
what
saying?
kind of, so I've been in the hair industry for 20 years doing
Uh,
hair. And when I had my son, I went down to 2 days a week working in the hair salon. And I've been coaching people behind the chair for 20 years.
right. I bet you get told all kinds of
So,
stuff.
so I really have been coaching people for 20 years. But I got involved. Well, a few things happened. I'm going to try to give you the short
Yeah,
answer to this
no
thing.
problem.
I got involved in network marketing when I was in an abusive relationship. This is before I
Okay.
was with my husband. And in a lot of ways, it really introduced me to, even though I had gone to some therapy and stuff in the past, it really introduced me to this road of personal development. And so I started diving in all that, left that relationship. That was a huge pivotal moment in my life and all this stuff. So as my life has progressed and I started finding things that really lit me up. Like I love speaking about mindset. I love learning about it. I geek out on it, how our brains can, like how we can rewire our brains to work for us instead of against us, and identify these limiting beliefs and change it. And in this process, I found my voice and I started showing up and sharing my story. And I realized I kind of had a gift for it. I had
Awesome.
several people reach out to me telling me that I was helping them. I even I co-authored a book where I shared my story and all this. And that's kind of how I found my voice. And I started thinking about it. Hey, maybe I should pursue this. And I talked to my husband, and so I pursued it. That's how it all happened. But it really started with me getting on, doing the whole personal development and just trying and evolving and realizing that I have something that I can share to help people. And when even my clients are like, oh, it's not, coaching isn't about giving advice though, but my clients are like, oh, you really make me calm when I come in here and I'm all stressed out, and I can just bring them down and help them. Like I said, I've been coaching people for 20 years. I just wouldn't get paid for it.
You were just having to be cutting their hair at the same
I
time.
just haven't been cutting my hair, but I realized that I think it's not just a gift, but there's certain people that are going to connect with other people, and I know that I can help people if they're really ready to make a change and get unstuck, and they're really the mindset is a big piece, and I talk about it. I know that's a huge buzzword, but the limiting beliefs and identifying and working through that is a huge piece for anybody to move forward and to achieve any goal that they want. And some people don't. What I find a lot, especially moms, they're not fulfilled. They're not happy in their jobs or career.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked earlier, they're just doing what they have to because they need the paycheck, but they're not happy. They're not happy at
Right.
all. And, life is short. In the scheme of things, life is short.
Right.
And don't you want to be like doing something that you love, or at least have a fulfilled and be happy? And I know for me, I was like, God, how long I got to deal with this crap? I'm to be candid here. Like I've been dealing with this stuff for so many years with the mindset piece, and just really working through that. And I don't think it's a instant fix. I think it's something you have to work on.
Right. It's
But I know
something. Yeah.
it's something, but if you do the work, you can train your brain to work for you it'll make achieving any goal so much easier
Kind of
than
helps.
just trying to will and hustle it out. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to will it and hustle and that stuff is there, you're going to always fall back. You're going to always self-sabotage. You're going to always
I like
procrastinate. You're going
that.
to be like,
Yeah.
why am I still doing this? And I
Right.
guarantee you that's why.
I think that hustle mentality, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not
Uh,
either. I'm not a fan of it either. I
okay, so
don't
I
think
just mean,
that's,
and I think what you're doing, the coaching that you're doing, is kind of helping people clarify really who they are and what they want. Maybe the core, maybe kind of helps create a. Is
definitely.
that the right word?
Yeah, absolutely. Because people come to coaching for different reasons. Sometimes they're
Mhm.
trying to achieve the goal. They need some accountability, which is a huge piece. They're looking for, why do they keep procrastinating and self-sabotaging themselves? That's where the whole, let's dive deep into this limiting belief here. Let's find it. Let's change it and work, and let's
Right.
do it. Uh, but a lot of people, they're not really sure what to do. And like, I had a client and she wanted to do a business, wasn't sure what it was, and we hashed it out for an hour and she gained some clarity. And
Right. It is so helpful just to talk to somebody. Just to talk. Some people need that because they don't have it. They can't. And they have the confidence. That's what I think of as a coach. You're you're receiving some confidential information sometimes. Maybe
absolutely, it is very
yeah.
confidential.
And so they have to trust you. So you obviously have a trust factor, a high level of that, which is really good. And I think like you were talking about, you mentioned when you're cutting your hair, and it made me think, what do I tell the lady that does my hair? But we talk about, different things, but how my sons and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I think it's important to just, and I think that's why the stress has been there with COVID, is because we aren't being able to commingle with other people as we, I mean, you can, and can't, you have to be respectful for those that don't want to,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
you got to be respectful. And when I'm outside, I don't wear a mask. But when I go in a store, I do, because I don't, I want to be respectful of that. But everybody has a different, I've had some health issues, physical health issues. So
Yeah.
I need to be a little bit more, and I'm mid 50s now. Holy cow. How did that happen? So I just try to be respectful and of myself, and just be in tune. And I love the way, I don't know what just ding there, but I love the way that your approach to helping others. I think it's really, really important. And I would like to find out, I mean, where can people find out more about you?
So you go to KristinHerr.com. That's KristinHerr.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, mostly on Facebook.
Okay.
I do have a group called, I just changed it to Women Who Want More, because don't we want more? Like, so you can become a part of my private Facebook group for there. And I do go in live in there once a week too, and really help
You guys
people.
share
And
stories? Is that what it is? Or kind of in a way?
I go in there and just do a lot of content, and really, I do Facebook lives around mindset and stuff. Even some business building things as well, and just share a little bit. Kind of like I'm working on really building community there for women who do want to be more fulfilled and want more out of their lives. That's
And running
really
it helps to have a group of people who are like-minded in a way.
exactly. That's what it's about. It's about bringing like-minded women together who are wanting more and who we can collaborate and help one another.
I love
And
that.
I will say this about before we go. Les Brown says, love him, going back to the coaching piece, you cannot see the picture when you're in the frame. So think about that.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, when you're in it, you need someone who doesn't have an emotional attachment one way or the other, who can help you. Because when you're in the frame and when you're in it, you just can't see the pieces, the things that are holding you back. Something's there, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
That's a really good explanation of what it's about. And so what I'm going to do in the summary, I'll have a link to your site. And I really appreciate the time you took out of your day. And I'm learning a lot just talking to you, Kristin. Even though I'm a health coach, I'm still learning. You just got to communicate. And I think one thing, real quick, when we talked a week or so ago, we talked about how women, we collaborate, right?
Right.
We and we're not competing. So this is really good. And so you learn.
Well, here's the deal. One of the posts I did is like, uh, women, other women are not your competition.
Yes.
Like we get so caught up in this competitive thing, and especially with women, I don't know why. And we also are like, oh well, look, hey, Bridget's doing this business, so then I'm not going to do it. Men don't do that. When you hear a man say, oh well, you know what, there's like 5,000 life coaches, so I don't think I'll go be one either. That's absurd.
It is. I think I read somewhere, I don't know exactly where, that life coaching is going to be really growing coming up, just because people need to know, to have some guidance on what to do moving forward with, with all these changes that we're not expecting.
Absolutely. And people do need some help and they need some direction. I have a coach. Like I have my
Right.
own coach. So, I mean,
Right. We need help. We don't know it all.
you don't know it all. And a coach just really helps you with that accountability piece also. And it could just, if you hire a coach, if there's something you want to achieve and you hire a coach, you will get there way, way faster than doing it on your own. It's been proven in science. Like, so wouldn't you rather invest in yourself instead of trying to figure it out on your own the whole way and waste 5-10 years? Because that's
Exactly.
essentially what you're doing. And like I said, life is short. We've seen that very
Right. Don't
clear
wait.
right now, and things change really, really quickly. And so,
And so the takeaway is, let's not waste our time and get help. Don't be afraid to ask, right?
exactly. That's right. That is exactly right.
Enjoy the rest of your day. And I thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, Bridget.